Hi, welcome back to the channel. Well, Alpina has often been referred to as the gentleman's BMW, the way a gentleman might buy a car if he wanted an M car, but something a little less gauche. So, today we're going to look at, that's not the way a gentleman drives, we're going to look at 3 Alpina builds. 2 of them, like this one here, are on cars you can steal free from the street. And they don't use a crew color or anything, so they're nice and simple ways to put something nice in your BMW collection. The third one would be on the Rhinehart, which obviously is a much more expensive car and does in fact use a crew color, although you can use inspiration from some of the other builds on the way and perhaps not go for the color I went for. I think you're going to really like it. So let's just crack on with these in order. So the first car here, the Oracle XS, can only be stolen from the street as it's a withdrawn vehicle, so keep an eye out for one. It's based on the early 2000s BMW 7 Series with the code of E65. And there was an Alpina B7 version of this car. You could buy it in this lovely blue. You often saw it in a very nice green, which I'll show you as well how to make. Very few things to do to the car, so let's whip quickly through. First thing is lights, where I would set xenons. They are very sort of period specific. We were coming into xenons at that time. I'm sure it would have had them. On the respray here, for the primary colour, there's a couple of things you could do. Let's just look, whilst we've got some daylight outside, at both options. You've seen the blue, and that is simply a metallic dark blue. We won't show on here, I don't think, but so it's metallic dark blue, but then we've gone with a much lighter pearl than you might expect, a silver pearl, and that's what's helped giving it the sort of the look of the Alpina blue, very simply and very cheaply. Alternatively, the green was very popular, so for that you want to paint the car first in a metallic dark green, and then for the pearl, go down into gasoline green. Now, I'm not going to say this is perfect, but this is at least pretty close to the car colour that we want. Just moving on with the rest of the build before we look at it outside. Competition suspension. And for the wheels, we're in the street category. Wild wagon. Little curves and things aren't quite right, but to get the multi-spokes with a little bit of an inset dish, Wild Wagon works really well. I know a lot of people use this on Alpina builds. So that completes the build of the car in both blue and green. Let's just glance at the green in the daylight, see what you think. It does look good. I think it's perhaps, if anything, a little light. And I find the blue is slightly more convincing if you're just wanting to use GTA colours, not mess about with crew colours. But I think both work extremely well. I'll probably store this one, in fact, as blue. Next car is the Oracle, based on the F01 version of the 7 Series, so it's still an Alpina B7. We're talking now about 2008 to 15. I painted this one just in white, and I'll explain why as we go. Again, there's not much you can do in here. You can do the exhaust, and we want dual chrome exhausts. They're a little bit too small in size, but they do work okay. Again, I don't think we're quite into the LED headlights era, maybe just about, but I put xenons on. For the respray, on this one, it's really simple. You could do, by the way, the blue or the green we've already seen. They're very popular, but this one is literally just a metallic ice white with an ice white pearl to give metallic white. And the secondary colour, by the way, on this car, you will see, does the centre of the car, so it's just matching the same. Suspension, again, competition. And the wheels, also in street, are concave racer. So these are the other wheel I tend to use for Alpinas. They are a bit too concave, but we do get the multi-spoke nature. In this case, pretty much making it to the rim. So Wild Wagon is better for the older Alpinas where there was a dish to the wheel, and I think Concave Racer works a bit better when there was no dish to the wheel. I said I'd tell you why I painted this white, and that's simply because I don't really like the alloy in the game, as I think you know. on the Oracle XS, we had to have that sort of alloy colour, and I don't find it terribly satisfactory. So I literally searched till I found one of these with black wheels just so I could paint them black. And of course, that always contrasts well with a light body colour. And you may find the same principle applies to earlier ones done with the Wild Wagon. You may want to find one with a painted wheel for that reason. I must be too excited about the wheels. I keep forgetting the smoke. Anyway, a light smoke is what I put on this. Our third build will be an Alpina B3 based on the much more recent BMW G21 3 Series Touring. Now you see it here as this 340i with AC Schnitzer parts. I had it like this for the garage tour. I don't think there's been a build video, so we'll at least take a nod to the bits we take off. But what we're going to turn it into is this really wonderful liquid copper BMW, again, Alpina B3 G21. So let's get started. Bumpers. I use the clean drop splitter here for the 340i, but without a doubt, we want this one here, the vented drop splitter. You see this little vent here, that is on the Alpina cars. The double splitters, by the way, tend to sort of bring something else around in here, which we don't want. We want the smooth bit here, the vent, and the smooth bit here. And so I find vented dropped is the closest. On the rear bumpers, for the 340i, I've got it black here as a rear bumper diffuser. But for the Alpina, what's perfect is the painted rear bumper diffuser. We do have about 3 or 4 diffuser parts, and we do have it all body colour on the car, so that's brilliant. Chassis, no, it's just stock for both cars. For the exhaust, I think for both cars, the chrome double bore works by far the best. And for the grille, the reason I have the stock grille for the 340i, I'll leave a link to that car below, was it had a sort of weird shape in here. It wasn't vertical slats. However, the Alpina is, so we're going to have grille slats in here. Always thought it was a pity they didn't offer chrome options on this grille, but anyway. For the hood, the stock hood is absolutely perfect with 2 ridge lines on either side. And that's for both cars. For the lights, I've got car meet lights on here, and I would say car meet or stock, but don't put xenon on a car this modern. For the respray, the car I'm building was in BMW's individual range colour, frozen purple. So you need the hex on the screen, but you also need to then add a dark steel pearl and do it to make the satin effect, which I know works on PC. Pretty sure it doesn't work on console. But let's move on to the one we're going to build. I wanted one that wasn't in Alpina blue or Alpina green. I wanted something in a really cool individual BMW colour. I found this one in liquid copper. So I had to make my own hex up. It took me, I think, 2 attempts to get one I was happy with. But let's take a look at this. So for our primary colour, then on goes the crew. We've got the hex on the screen, and you can already see it's getting pretty close there. So let's refine the pearl, which is dark steel at the moment, of course, from the previous car, to one of the light browns one. And the one I played with and really like is straw brown. So we've got the crew colour with the straw brown pearl. We'll look at this in the sunshine at the end, but I think this looks really, really good. For the secondary colour, it's just going to be the stitching, and I think I want to just keep a sort of fairly pale stitching. I think I decided on something like wood beach brown would work quite nicely. And then into the trim colour, and it's really pale in the car that we're building. It's almost white, and I think the cream works very well. The white it's just too much, I think. So a cream interior. You can see that working really well now through the windows. The roof is just stock. The skirts, they were carbon street skirts on the 340i, because that was, I say, a slightly modified car. But we're just going stock on there. And whilst that leaves the front spoiler lower than the skirts, that is in fact how the real car is. For the spoiler, we just want none, which gives this smooth roof spoiler. Sun strips is none. Suspension, it's on sport for the modified car. And the real truth is the Alpina is here. The Alpina is on street suspension. You should use street suspension. I'm going to use sport suspension. I'm sorry, that is my failing. And when it comes to the wheels, well, I think you've guessed that we're going to go into street again and find those concave racer ones wherever they are. And the colour on these is, I would say it's approximately stone silver. It's certainly not black. We do, of course, have the slight diamond lip on here. There's not much we can do, but it's very, very subtle. And when it comes to the windows, they were on a dark smoke. I don't know why I did that. I assume the car I was building had very tinted windows. But I think a light smoke is going to work very well. You could almost go none to help sort of show off the colour of the interior, but I think light smoke. And that completes the build of the third one of these cars. So let's just look at them all together in a row. Not a bad row of Alpinas. They're not going to change, by the way. So this, when we do our 2025 BMW garage tour, which I can tell you is a long way away because most of the cars are still the same as you've originally seen them last year. But when we do that one, that's how these three cars will be. So a bit of a spoiler. We've just got enough setting sun left to look at this one. Very secure and easy car to drive in the game, of course, this. Yeah. When you get this just right, so you're actually seeing the pearl as well. I think I've got this pretty close to the correct colour. When I was making the colour, I tested it on a street car. Took it outside at exactly 12 o'clock, so you've got the most neutral sun possible, and it was so close. So really happy with this. I think this is a gorgeous, gorgeous looking car, and this is how I'm very happy to store this car. I think the car actually suits Alpina builds better than it suits M3 builds, and of course a lot of that's down to the front grille. A lot of the M3s having that sort of big nostril that went all the way down, of course. So I hope you enjoyed these three builds. If you do, please do click the like button. That would be really very much appreciated. And if you like real cars in GTA and my attempts to build them, then by all means do subscribe. But above all, thank you so much for watching.